So the question is, what is machine learning? That's the first. So when we say machine learning, from the point of view of a computer scientist, it's just a bunch of algorithms. Okay? It's a bunch of algorithms that that automatically improve performance through experience. And what is this experience? Experience is actually data. Okay, so let us say we are going to teach a machine how to recognize cats in images. Okay. So what we do is that we provide the data to the computer and tell the computer which part of the image contains a cat. Alam niyo yung ano yung pag mag-login kayo, 'di ba? Minsan sabihin niya, I'm not a robot, tapos it will show you some pictures of identify kung ano dito yung traffic light, or ano dito yung road, or ano dito yung car, di ba? Or parts ng car. Yun ang unang-una nating, kumbaga yun ang good example kung yung application ng machine learning. That is in computer vision. So how do we teach the computer how to identify cats in pictures? So of course, ang unang gagawin is bibigyan tayo ng picture. Then siyempre, pwede man natin yung ano yun, di ba, yung picture, pwede yan siya ma-represent as pixels. And then we just say to the computer, ano yung pixels that correspond to cat in the video. Okay? Of course, at first, medyo pangit pa yung kanyang, ano, no, baka yung dog, baka masabi niya cat pa yun, no? So, habang tumatagal, using those algorithms, yung mga machine learning algorithms, we are teaching the computer now how does you are teaching the computer to identify with higher accuracy saang part ng picture mayroong cut. Parang ganun ang mangyari. And ano yung mga algorithms na yon? Yun ang i-discuss natin sa machine learning. Okay? Another thing is another application is in terms of fraud detection, yung sa mga online transaction, tama? So marami tayong mga ginagawa ngayon na online something online buying o online shopping. And then how do we know, or how do we teach the computer to detect transactions that are fraudulent transactions? So marami yan, lalo na sa mga credit card, no? Paano natin masabi, itong ano na to, itong transaction na to is galing to sa nakaw na credit card. Or galing ito sa identity theft. Paano yan siya maturuan a computer to detect those? Okay? So of course, the first thing we do is that we give examples to the computer kung ano yung mga fraudulent. And then the computer, using the algorithm that we provide to the computer, we program, the computer will now learn to identify succeeding fraudulent transactions. Okay? So yun yung mga concern ng machine learning. Then another is we can abstract it. Okay, we can even abstract that to the task of just defining a model. Okay, so ano ba ang model? It can be a function. It can be a differential equation. It can even be an algorithm. That can be a model. And then we are going to use data. And this data is what we term as the experience to fit the parameter. So for example, if we try to fit a line on a set of points, we know that this line has two parameters. Okay? So for example, ano lang muna tayo, no? Two-dimensional lang muna. Maybe I can make something. So example, ito yung mga point. And we want to draw a line that best fit, the line of best fit. It means that when we say best fit, we usually have a, how you say it, we usually have a objective, okay? Or a way to measure whether, when can we say that the line is best for that. And that is usually minimizing the sum of square errors. Pagit akong drawing, hindi rin natamang drawing. We try to find a line such that this error, so we say this is error 1 and then this is error 2. Ay, gamitin ko pala itong aking social na tablet. My writing pad. Kita magkalisod. Okay, ano ko na lang yan siya. Hindi tayo mahirapan. Okay. Agi, ang buko ka. Uy. Agi. Okay, dili mo agi ako ang writing tablet. So, padayon na lang ta sa ato ang mouse. Upa na siguro. Dito mo agi. Okay. Kini na lang. Okay? So, if you want to fit a line to this point, so we usually want to minimize this vertical distance, okay, from the line to these points. And so on and so forth. So such that is minimum, okay? And then we find this best fit line. So this best fit line is described by this model, y mx plus b, which is the b is the two parameters, the slope and the intercept. So this is what we mean by just try to find this model with two parameters, linear model, that will determine this line of best fit. Okay, so that's the machine learning. Okay. But why do we use machine learning? Okay, the quick answer is it's complex. No, the real world is complex. So what we mean by complex is that we cannot account all factors or all aspects that may influence the problem or the task at hand. So hindi natin siya pwede ma-quantify lahat. Especially if we want to find a handcrafted solutions. So handcrafted, it means here that, for example, yung mga if, else, yung mga ganon, mahirap siyang gawan. So, that's why we use ML on some problems. So, hindi naman ML lahat ang solusyon, no? We have also solutions that may work better than ML. Pero for solutions that has high level of complexity, then ML may be a good choice. So example dyan is computer vision. So teaching the computer how to identify, how to classify images, that's computer vision. For humans, it's very easy, no? Because we know this from since we were young. But for a computer, it's really very difficult. So computer vision is a very difficult problem for a computer. Why? Because we cannot really explain. For humans, we can do the task very easily, but we cannot explain or we cannot quantify how do we do it. No? Ano natin malaman na isang bagay aso at hindi giraffe? For us, it works automatically. Pero paano yun nangyari? Mahirap siyang i-quantify. Okay? o mahirap siyang i-handcraft yung mga rules na yon para masabi natin na ito is hindi siya giraffe but it is a cat, something like that. Another thing is yung natural language processing, understanding language, that's also another difficult, and of course, speech recognition. So, yung mga, ano no, yung for example, yung paano natin ngayon maturuan ang computer that somehow it understands a language. Okay? So, example niyan is yung mga application ngayon kagaya nila yung sa mga Siri, yung sa cellphone natin, di ba? Sa iPhone or sa Android, merong mga voice commands. So, paano niya naturuan ang computer? Kung sinabi natin good morning, ang i-reply niya ay good morning. O meron tayong question, or meron tayong commands, it can execute those commands. No? So that is natural language processing. And not only that, aside from simple commands, we also want to know, we also want to understand the meaning behind the words. For example, when can you say that someone is being sarcastic? No? So for example, I will say, buutan kaayo si, let us say, si Jeff, buutan kayo siya. So how do we know that I am telling fact or I am being sarcastic? Okay? Let's say, guwapo kaayo si, let us say, Angelo. How do you know that I am being truthful? So yun yung mga problem that we usually tackle with ML. And then we have robotics. May nag-mention kanina na robotics. Yung robotics, mayroong mga algorithms na deterministic. Yung term natin is deterministic. It means that we give rules. So for example, if you encounter this, turn right. So that's easy, okay? But if we are going to teach a robot how to navigate in a complex environment, then it's a bit difficult kasi we cannot capture, especially sa actual na, no? Sa actual environment, and tell the robot to retrieve a dead person or a survivor. That's difficult because unang-una, wala tayong knowledge sa ano yung terrain, okay? Ano yung mga possible obstacle. The question is, how do we teach the robot to do that on its own, being autonomous? And that is another thing for ML. Yeah? Okay, so ang pinakauna-una talaga problem is yung handwritten digit recognition. So ito yung ginagamit noon na, for example, marami di ba nagpapadala ng sulat and then they write the postcode. Okay. The goal is, sa dami ng sulat na dumadating, paano natin ma-automate yung pag-classify, pag-sort ng sulat into different zip codes para mas madali siyang mapadala. So for example, yung Davao City, 8,000 yan siya. So paano natin malaman, ito 8,000 to. But we don't do it manually. We just scan that and then let the computer do the sorting. Okay? So ito papuntang Davao because this is the postcode. Ito papuntang Tagum because this is the postcode. So as you can imagine, iba-iba kasi yung handwriting ng tao. Okay? Merong iba, ang number 9 nila is ito yung number 9. Meron ding iba, ang number 9 is ito. Meron ding number 9 ito. Parang hindi number 9, parang number 4. Parang ganun yung problem. Another thing is, ito, ano tong number na yan? Mukhang 8. Pero kung ito, mukhang 3. Pero pag tayo titingin, 8 yan. Siguro nagkamali lang ng pagsulat. Tama? Ito naman, 2. Pero mukhang 7. So, dahil sa dami ng mga different ways ng tao to write, mahirap ituro sa computer kung ito bang number na ito ay 9 or number ba ito ay 4. But we can start with simple, no? Simple rules. So for example, kung merong medyo curve dyan, tapos mayroong parang circle dyan sa taas, then possibly that's number 8, 9. Okay? Or kung merong parang one straight line lang, then possibly that's 1. Pero kung meron na siyang parang hook dito, tsaka meron dito, could be 1 or could be 2. Kagaya dito. Ano yan. So, ang daming, just the simple task of identifying postcode might be or may be very difficult for a computer to do because of the wide variety of the handwriting. Right? So the goal is, how do we do that automatically? And how, or other words, how do we teach a computer to identify these digits accurately? And that is the problem of the handwritten. We will solve that later. Okay? The handwritten digit recognition. Okay, so medyo na pa. So the thing is, usually, since image siya, pwede natin siyang ma-treat as pixels. Okay? So usually, kasi black and white lang yan siya. So 0 means white. Di ba, mayroon yan, for example, ganyan yung image. Pwede natin yan siya hatiin into pixels. Kagaya niyan, kung ilalagay natin siya sa box, okay. Parang ganyan, di ba? Pixels. Kita natin, okay, ano tong nasa box? White lang, so 0. Sample lang. So ito naman is medyo black, pero hindi na masyado na-cover. So let us say, liitan pa natin. 1 pa natin na mas maraming pixels. So yan is 1 na siya. So basically, we will end up with this. A bunch of 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. Something like that. And then we can just flatten it such that itong second row is sumpay lang natin dyan. Okay? Itong third row naman is sumpay. So we'll end up with this. A vector of 0, 1, binary. Okay? And this one can become our input. So since we have now a variable, we have now a vector, we can use that as our input vector. And then of course, our output is the number. So let us say 7. Ayan, or 8. So meron tayong set of training data. Tawag natin dyan is training data. It's because pag sinabi na kasi natin training data and the task is classification, we have this input vectors. Okay? In this case, 0, 1, bunch of 0, 1s. Kaya din siya tinawag na training, it's because alam natin yung corresponding output. So, pwede natin sabihin, ang output nito is 7. Okay? But, to make it simple, itong 7, itong representation na 7, we can actually represent that as a vector of length 10. Okay? So, length 10. So, how do we represent 0? Remember that we have 10 digits, 0 to 9. Right? So, if the output is 0, it means that we put 1 here at the first position. And that is the representation for 0. Okay? Now, kung 1 naman siya, and of course, pag 0, 1 ang first position, the rest is 0. Okay? Kung 1 naman siya, 0 sa first position, 1 sa second position, and the rest is 0. So that's how we represent. That's why we have this representation. Okay? We have 784 mapped to a vector of length. Okay? So, saan ba galing yan 784? It comes from the fact that we have a 28 by 28 image. Okay? So meaning we divide the image into 28 smaller rectangles. Yan yung kumbaga pixels kumbaga. So 28 by 28. So kung i-connect mo yan sa lahat, you will end up with 784. Length of 784. Okay. Now the goal, since we have already transformed this into vectors, the goal now is just to find a function, find this function that will map each of the 784 vector, a vector 784 into 10-dimensional vector. So again, we reduce the problem of identifying digit into a mathematical problem wherein we deal now with vectors. Kuha? Yes. Very simple lang naman. Okay. Another problem is face detection. Okay? So paano tayo mag-detect ng face? Dito, naka-drawing, naka-ano na yun, nakalagay sa box, yung mga, di lang box, but also the actual polygon. So ito face to. Ito hindi siya face. Tama? Dito naman sa picture na to, ilan yung face? Ito face ba to? No, that's not a face. That's a cup. We can also develop an algorithm that will detect how many cups of cups here in the present picture. So saan ba yung mga application dito sa face? Usually ginagamit yan sa pagbibilang ng ilan yung number of people sa crowd. So we take a picture, maybe a video, get a still shot, and then we count, let the computer count how many people are there in that picture. But even this task, hindi siya magdali kasi may mga kumbaga part ng picture na mukhang face pero hindi naman siya face. No? Could be na yung snow nag-form na siya ng face pero hindi siya face. Another application of this is ginagamit natin yan sa yung to identify people who are attendance sa klase, sa loob ng klase. So instead of the teacher checking the attendance of each student, gagawin lang is may camera lang dyan, and then the camera will automatically determine if someone is absent or not, no, by doing the matching. Okay, so in this case, this is actually what we call a classification problem, because here we want to classify whether that's a face or not a face. But we can make it more complicated by saying whether it's a non-face, whether it's a frontal face, so ito frontal face, or a profile face. Okay? Yan yung sa face detection. Okay, how about naman application naman tayo sa spam? So ano ibig sabihin ng spam? You receive emails, correct? And then marami siya mga emails dyan, yung example, yung mga Viagra, yung mga Nigerian princess, yung mga, sino ba yun, nakatanggap na ba kayo ng email na, ano ba yan, sa Nigeria, mayroong hari doon, or mayroong namatay na, sa South Africa may namatay, tapos kailangan ng lawyer, parang ganon, help in transferring money, parang ganon nangyari. So, those are what we call spam emails. And of course, they are annoying. No? So that's why the various email services, they are developing a spam detection tool, okay, to automatically detect which emails are spam. So pag may pumasok dyan na about Viagra, ay nakasulat na Viagra, ilagay agad sa spam. No? So yun yung mga, but how does it do that? Of course, it uses maraming factors, no? Maraming factors that are in play to determine whether an email is spam or not. Maybe Viagra can be a good indicator of spam, but it could be a legitimate email, or what we call a ham email. Could be a legitimate email. Maybe sino ba dito? Si Alex, maybe nag-order talaga siya ng Viagra. So, may nag-email sa kanya ng tungkol sa Viagra. Parang ganon ang mangyari. Or example, si Chad, meron talaga siyang friend na taga Tanzania, na princess. It could be ham, legitimate email. But of course, we want to list the features that are indicative of spam muna. And unlike here, that we are dealing with images, here we are dealing with text. Not only text, but also characteristic of the email. For example, saan ba siya galing? Ano ba ang subject? Or ano niya, yung mga characteristic, like meron bang link na nilagay? Okay, meron bang paano niya sinulat yung mga sentence? Parang ganun. So that could be used as an indication of spam. And again, this is another classification problem because we are trying to differentiate between spam or ham emails. So an example nito is you can define features such as count of words, Viagra, stack, outperform, multibag. If these words are occur in the email, then most probably they are spam. If not, then they are non-spam. So pag-aralan natin yung algorithm, no? Kung ano yung algorithm na ginagamit ng mga email services to detect ham versus spam. Okay, any questions so far?